Welcome back, and thank you, Toni, for joining us. So to continue our fantastic conversation, I'm just going to jump right into our next question, which I was talking a little bit before about how much we at USTA New England love our NJTL network. Um, and I just want to take a moment and also just recognize how fortunate we are to have you as one of our chapter leaders. Like every time we talk, you're doing super big things, and we can't thank you enough for what you're doing, specifically for um, kids in our community. Like it's just wonderful. So
Thank you.
I would just love to hear a story or two about the impact that Sportsmen has had on youth lives, particularly Black lives. Anything you'd like to share there would be excellent.
Well, I think that it's funny you end up by saying that would be excellent. I think that one of the most exciting things for me has been the excellence program that we've had in various formats since it began. We started off with a developmental team, and then we had an excellence team, and now we're back to having a developmental team for a lot of reasons. But I think that one of the things we've always tried to do is to make sure that we could be a pipeline to higher education. And so many of our kids have gone on with either full or partial scholarships, or they've gotten onto their tennis team. I don't think we've had a single player in the time that I've been at Sportsmen that has wanted to go to college that has not gotten accepted into one of the colleges of their choosing. And if you watch the gala video from our gala in November, and you hear Wyman tell his story of how he, made his way from Mattapan to Ithaca College and being on the team and the success that he's had. And when I think of some of our players, we have a young woman who got a full ride to Clark Atlanta and has graduated, and we have another student who got a full scholarship to Northeastern and just graduated. So when I look at our ability to impact that pipeline into college, and not just into any college, but the colleges that they are choosing, that they are looking to get into, and to play either whether it's on the travel team or if it's on the club team, to know that tennis is playing a part of that, and that the academic support we provided and the self-management skills we provided, everything from public speaking to healthy relationships, that those things are playing out and helping them succeed, just really means a lot.
That's so awesome to hear because, I don't get enough time to connect with all of our chapter leaders and hear very specific stories about, where our youth have gone on after they've graduated out of the programs. And I mean, I know, we have our galas and stuff, but it's nice to connect one-on-one and hear just some of the amazing stories. I mean, that is so huge. I'm sure these were mostly first generation kids too, first time going to college. So to go to
Many of
college
them. Mhm.
on a full scholarship playing tennis, you know, it shows how powerful, the NJTL model can be of the tennis and education. But while it's a great model, it also needs great leaders behind it. So we can't, again, can't thank you enough for all your assistance there and your
Thank
staff
you.
too. You have a great staff
Absolutely.
over
A
there at
great team. We
Sportsmen.
have a very strong team at Sportsmen. Thank you.
So Sportsmen's is doing a really great job at keeping kids in the sport. But how do you think USTA can do a better job at keeping kids in the sport and then moving on into their adulthood?
I think figuring out what is causing the pipeline to fracture in certain areas is really important. And I do see a lot of work being done, a lot of recognition that kids are playing one or two tournaments and they're not playing anymore. I think that sometimes there are efforts that seem to be made to take kids out of their community into another community where there might be a stronger tennis facility. But in reality, what we have to figure out is how to build that capacity in the neighborhood where a child lives and where they spend most of their time, because having them go to another community culturally may be challenging, operationally, logistically, it just may be a challenge. So I think that anything that can be done to build the capacity of these smaller CTAs and smaller NJTLs to take a child the length of the pipeline would really be advantageous.
Hmm. So how do you think we can also better connect the dots from, say, like maybe a youth in your program that graduates? What can USTA do to like keep them going with their tennis and with their USTA tennis specifically with our products that we have to offer?
Yeah, I think that newer innovations like the social tennis for adults are really, those sorts of things are really helpful. We know tennis is an expensive sport, especially here in the cold, frozen Northeast, where you've got to play indoors 8 months out of the year. I think anything that can be done to create opportunities for social play, for inexpensive and accessible competitive play. You know, some of the barriers that exist to getting into national tournaments and national play, like needing to have a certain ranking or certain points, you know, creating opportunities for regional competition that is kind of open and accessible and affordable. Those are things that will go a long way in helping people understand that there's a big tennis world out there. It's not only what you can see. You've got to let people sort of stay in their comfort zone while they're learning the game and moving along the pipeline, and then at the same time create opportunities for them to expand at their pace and when they're ready to do so.
Mhm. So, and thank you for sharing that. So, you know, I'm curious to know what really keeps you involved in the sport of tennis, Toni. Like, you are an accomplished professional. You could be using your talents in other organizations, but I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you have, you know, now a true deep connection to the sport. So I'd love to hear like what personally keeps you in the game.
You know, I think it's twofold. I definitely see the great potential that tennis has. I think it was at one of the very first annual meetings that I attended when I heard the sort of branding that tennis was the sport of opportunity. And I've talked about how I've seen that play out in Sportsmen's in many ways. And so the tennis definitely keeps me connected. But in many ways, as I've said, Sportsmen's is about youth development and NJTL is about youth development. And that's always been a passion for me. So really what does keep me grounded in that way is realizing that there is still more potential out there. There's still more opportunity. We can do more. Our kids can therefore receive more. So that's really what's kept me focused these past 12 and a half years. And I can honestly say I never envisioned myself being at Sportsman's for 12 and a half years, but it's because there's always so much more to create. There are so many more partnerships. There are so many more opportunities for us to just continue to build that it's kept me excited and engaged.
Mhm. That's awesome, Toni. So bonus question, uh, are you free to share a little bit about all the wonderful things that are happening at Sportsman right now as far as some expansion going on?
Absolutely. So Sportsman's has 7 indoor and 7 outdoor courts, and we've had a plan for quite some time to build more on our campus. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, a number of local tennis clubs have closed, and that has created increased demand for junior tennis, for adult tennis. The pandemic itself has created more of a need for social distancing. So our academic programs, the capacity has been reduced because we can't put as many kids in the same space. There's a need for academic support during the day in addition to just the after school program. So we've really geared up the expansion that we were already discussing in order to try and make that happen more expeditiously than originally planned. So our goal in 2021 is to add a new pre-engineered metal building over 4 of our existing outdoor courts that will give us 11 indoor courts during the indoor season instead of the 7 that we have. And then eventually soon thereafter to build a connecting building that will give us more of the soft spaces that are so important, you know, more of the bigger fitness center and, you know, better restroom facilities and locker room facilities. We're going to rebrand our lobby as the Bud Collins Tennis Welcome Center because Bud Collins had a lot to do with Sportsmen coming into existence. And we just think it's appropriate for a club like ours to have a tennis welcome center when Bud knew, he's quoted as saying that the sport of tennis needed Sportsmen's just as much as Boston needed Sportsmen's. And so we're excited about that. We have the Breaking the Barriers exhibit coming to Sportsmen's as a permanent fixture, which is a pictorial exhibit. You didn't know that. So
no, that's so exciting.
It's really exciting. We're thrilled about it. There is a pictorial exhibit that was created by Dale Caldwell, who played at Sportsmen's as a kid. And it tells the story of Black tennis from early 1915 or 16 right up to the present day. And there was an exhibit in at the International Tennis Hall of Fame, which has now been transitioned to an online exhibit. And we have purchased a copy of that exhibit, and it will be on display at Sportsmen's permanently. So really excited about that. There's so much great stuff that's happening over the next couple of years.
Oh my God, I can't wait to work on some field trips to Sportsman's for some of our
Absolutely.
other NJTL kids.
Yeah,
I think we'll be having a couple of NJTL days over at Sportsman's with
absolutely.
some really great play time and some really great history time. And
Yeah.
that's fantastic news, all of it, the expansion,
Thank you.
the exhibit coming. I'm just so thrilled for what the future holds at Sportsman's. And I hope that, USTA New England will continue to be just, right there alongside of you through the growing pains. And I know you'll be with us for a little bit. I think it's safe that I can share that you are joining us as an officer on our board for the
Yes.
next term. So I didn't want to forget about that. And I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
It's important to recognize that you're the first African-American woman to serve as an officer. So kudos there. You're breaking your own barriers in tennis too. And so just all good stuff all around. So Toni, I just thank you so much for taking some time today to share with me. We're really looking forward to, this conversation series continuing. We're still keeping our Black tennis community at the forefront before we go on into exploring some of our other community members. But so I just thank you for being my first in their own words for 2021, and we'll be working a lot together for the next 3 years.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Toni.